I'm trying to make a change in my life, and I have to admit it feels a little overwhelming. In a conversation about it with someone, I was reminded of a fabulous story that I have to share with you today. Shalom, my friends. Yes, that is the situation. I have decided to try to get something under control that has been a bad habit of mine for many, many years, and I'm trying to address it. And I'll have to admit, it feels overwhelming. I was talking to someone who had broken a very bad habit over 30 years ago. This was a situation where a 12-step program was involved. And that person said to me something that he had learned from the 12-step program. I found it very useful on two levels. First of all, what he said to me was, don't think in terms of you're never going to do that again for the rest of your life. That's too much to take on at one time. Just every day, wake up and say, today, from now till I fall asleep at night, not going to do that today. And that made it seem far more manageable. But more important is that it reminded me of this amazing story. There was a Jewish man, an Orthodox Jewish man, a follower of the Lubavitcher Rabbi, whose name was Weinreb. And Weinreb decided to move from New York and leave to practice his profession in Silver Springs, Maryland. He did that. And then while he was there, he says he had a midlife crisis. So he called the Rebbe, and the Rebbe's secretary answered. He did not ask who was calling, and Weinreb purposely, that's the word, purposely did not give his name. He just went on to say that he had questions for the Rebbe. There were questions about faith, questions about his professional life, questions about his personal life. He needed to speak to the Rebbe. Of course, he's in Silver Springs, Maryland now. The Rebbe is in Brooklyn. He heard the Rebbe's secretary paraphrasing what he, Weinreb, was saying to someone else in the room. And when that person spoke, the Rebbe recognized him. Weinreb recognized him. It was the voice of the Rebbe. The Rebbe was in the room listening to the secretary paraphrase the reason for Weinreb's call. The Rebbe responded, tell this man that there is a Jewish man in Silver Springs, Maryland, who may be able to help him with his questions of faith. His name is Weinreb. He should get in touch with Weinreb. Weinreb heard this, but he hadn't mentioned his name. The Rebbe remembered him from when he lived in New York and remembered that he was now in Silver Springs, Maryland. And the Rebbe was directing the caller to speak to Weinreb, but Weinreb was the caller. When the secretary said, did you hear what the Rebbe said? Weinreb was so blown away, he said, no. Could he repeat it? And the Rebbe repeated, there's a man in Silver Springs, Maryland. If you have questions about your Jewish faith, go talk to Weinreb. And so Weinreb said to the secretary, but I'm Weinreb. Secretary relayed that to the Rebbe, whose response was, then tell him that sometimes a person has to have a talk with himself or herself. Wow. What a wonderful teaching that is. Sometimes it's important to talk to ourselves. My friends, that is my message for the week. Be your biggest fan. Be your biggest supporter. Be your biggest cheerleader. And believe in yourself. Talk to yourself. Forget about the jokes we make. Oh, so-and-so talks to himself. I wonder if he answers himself. You will answer yourself. Absolutely, it's part of the process. So I'm not saying don't ever seek advice out from other individuals, especially trusted advisors. Of course, that's fine to do. But sometimes the most important conversation you have about an issue is the one that you have with yourself. So that's where we'll leave it today, my friends. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to subscribe to our growing YouTube channel, please click on my face, which appears right over there. Or to see the last video I released, click on its icon, which appears right over there. As ever, until next time, Shabbat Shalom.